Hi everybody, I'm Educator Emily and welcome to our fourth video in our high school comparative anatomy series. In this video, we're talking about the integumentary systems of birds and mammals. In birds, the epidermis is very thin and covered in feathers, with the exception of areas like the head or the feet. In many species of birds, the dermis is also fairly thin and consists of connective tissues and muscles known as arrector plumari that help to move the feathers. Feathers, which are made of beta keratin and are unique to birds, evolved from scales. Feathers can be divided into three classes: contour feathers, filoplumes, and plumules. Contour feathers are aerodynamic and they help to give the bird its defined body shape, while filoplumes and plumules help to keep the bird warm and regulate body temperature. The coloration of feathers is due to pigmentation in their cells, as is in other vertebrate groups. Cells that contain melanin will be black or brown, dark colored like these turkey vulture feathers. Cells with catenoids will be red, orange, or yellow. And cells with porphyrins are going to be pink. There are even some feathers, like those of a peacock, that have structural pigmentation, meaning that there's no pigmentation in the feather that gives it that color. Instead, it's the structure of the feather itself and how the light bounces off of that structure that gives it the color we perceive. Often, these colors are gorgeous iridescent greens and blues. Now, in mammals like us, we have a relatively thin epidermis and a fairly thick dermis. The dermis, in fact, makes up the majority of mammalian skin. The dermis is full of sweat and oil glands, hair follicles, connective fibrous tissues such as collagen, and nerve endings. One integumentary characteristic of mammals is hair or fur. This integumentary derivative is made up of alpha keratin, which is different from the beta keratin found in birds and reptiles. In addition to hair or fur being made up of alpha keratin, so are the quills or spines of a porcupine or a hedgehog, the baleen plates of whales, and the sharp, long claws of a badger. The main pigment responsible for coloration in the integument of mammals is melanin. The more melanin in an integumentary cell, the darker the color. Like reptiles, mammals can also have dermal bone. Some species of mammal have a dermal bone in their penis known as the baculum. However, a more common example of dermal bone in mammals is perhaps the bones of an armadillo. Underneath the leathery integumentary covering that you see are individual plates of dermal bone. In fact, armadillos are the only mammals to be encased in dermal bone. Now that you've watched all the videos on the integumentary coverings in the different classes of animals, brainstorm why you think each class evolved their different types of integument. Why don't all animals have the same body coverings? Does the integument of an animal limit where it can live? How does our integumentary system as humans compare and contrast to that of other mammals? What are some differences, and why might those differences exist? In your response, share your brainstorming with us, or use some of those questions as prompts to respond to.